Deaf education really started a long time ago. It focused on medical views and oral methods, compared to the education system which uses sign language. It is now being integrated.
Education system has come a long way. Many people view sign language as low graded and primitive. Hence, they thought to do something about it. They decided to get rid of sign language and instead taught them how to speak in order to fit in the society.
I grew up in Japan and I attended a deaf school. I was good in my studies, but my speech was average. I had a classmate in the same class who was average in his studies but good in speech and able to speak very well. The teacher paid more attention with this classmate of mine that left me very frustrated. This showed that having good oral skills is superior in school.
After explaining, she wants to know if her students understand or not. This teacher is strong in her oral speech. Asking each and every student, she said remember to ask me any question. I forgot what her question was, but I answered her correctly and teacher was happy. She asked the other girl if she knows the answer. She answered, but it doesn't sound correct. Repeat again. She answered correctly, only pronounced it wrongly. Teacher could not accept and student has to repeat again for about 10 to 15 times before teacher was satisfied. Next session, I felt really frustrated. It's a really waste of my time. History class is usually about 40 minutes. Teacher uses about 20 minutes to focus on correcting oral speech, left 20 minutes to teach the class.
When I was 12 years old in a deaf school, we had speech therapy class. We had speech training over and over again. In December, we had to show our parents how much we have improved. I sang a Christmas song. I sang and danced and was feeling good. My classmates were staring at me, but I ignored and continued singing. After everything was over, I excitedly asked my mom how my singing was. My mom said I was very good. I was so happy and believed that I was pretty good and I could speak. 7 years later, I asked my mom again how my singing was. My mom was terrified and screamed, "No, don't! It's terrible!" My elder brother is deaf. He went to school on Parents' Day to see his deaf son. In the classroom, the students sat in a circle and the teacher asked everyone, "How much is 2 plus 2?" The students were excited and his son raised his hand. He answered 4. Teacher looked at him and said, "It's wrong. It's pronounced 4."
I entered a deaf school. At the age of 4 years old, I remember the sign language there were different. My parents are both deaf. They dropped me at school. During a small group conversation, there was these two sign words I did not understand what it means. I could not follow the conversation and communication keeps breaking down. Hey, is this sign word means mother? This sign word means father? No, this is not, no. I was told I am wrong. I was stuck. Following Sunday, both my parents dropped me at school. I asked them to wait. I called my friends to watch me. Hey, Dad, Mom, is this sign words at the nose or the chin? Which one? Oh, no. This sign means small rat, my mother explains. My friends then realized that both my parents are deaf. Oh, school is starting. My parents left. My friends and I gathered and socialized. A school teacher whom is in charge saw us and took a ruler, a thick one, about size 4.5, took my hand and beat my hand and fingers until it swells.
There was this tall woman. Her name was Mrs. Reinhardt. She was the school principal who manages the school. She came up to me and mouthed the word, "You sign. You sign." I looked at her, didn't understand what she meant, and thought nothing about cannot sign. She asked for my hand and I gave her my hand. She held up a ruler and started hitting my hand again and again. She mouthed the word, "You sign," and I still didn't understand. She continued to hit my hand with the ruler. Why? Why can't I sign here, but I can sign at home? It made me really confused that I can't sign here.
In the 20th century, teachers discovered the students with hearing loss but have good eyesight and able to learn and use sign language. Therefore, they developed a class to teach sign language the way they taught English, but it's incompatible. So they make some modifications that match the structures and name it manual code, similar to KTPM. In the classroom, deaf students are practicing and writing in English from various sources. A teacher was observing, without having a clue, that the students already have the foundation of the language structure.
I remember when I went to deaf school. I was 6 years old then. In class, the teacher would write pages and pages of stories on the board. Students will then have to copy down and practice writing the stories again and again. When we're done, we had to pass to the teacher to check. The teacher checked mine and marked them in red. She said there were many mistakes and I had to rewrite again. As I was rewriting, the teacher started erasing the board. I forced myself to memorize everything and wrote it down quickly to submit to the teacher. She then told me this time it's better because there were less mistakes. So that means we all can do it. Before this, I didn't really understand. I only memorized everything. I wrote an essay of my ideas and showed it to the teacher. The teacher checked and marked half of it wrong. I asked, why is it wrong, as I wanted to know. The teacher said, it's okay. English language is hard. Just leave it. You are deaf. English is not your first language. I understand that your first language is ASL. It is hard. It's okay. I wanted to learn what was my mistake, but the teacher never explained. I feel like the teacher didn't bother and thought that deaf are not capable.
94-142 has been amended to Individuals with Disabilities Education Act (IDEA), where deaf students are integrated with hearing students. This group of students are called LRE, Least Restrictive Environment, which provides students with more learning opportunity.
I was brought up in a mainstream school in San Antonio, in the state of Texas. During my sophomore year, that is tingkatan 3, my girlfriend Michelle and me were too advanced in the deaf class. So the teacher took both of us to SBG, Persatuan Aktiviti Belajar, mainly hearing students. We were happy to learn to socialize in facing challenges. 2 days later, teacher took me out to a reading class. I asked the teacher, why? He told me, Michelle can hear and speak well, where else you are not. Oh well, I'm back to the reading class again.
There was an interpreter interpreting in class. The teacher asked if anyone had any questions. I raised my hand, but the interpreter stopped me and said, "Hey, don't raise your hand, just tell me what you want to say." I told the interpreter you should know your role and responsibility. I raised my hand and the interpreter stopped me again. The interpreter said, "If you're ready, just tell me what you want to say." I ignored the interpreter and raised my hand again. The teacher finally noticed me, but the interpreter told the teacher, "Don't worry about her, just let her be." The teacher just acknowledged and continued asking the others. I was frustrated with the interpreter.
I was sitting in front of my interpreter. My teacher came over and asked me a question. I was so focused on what the interpreter was signing, but the interpreter wasn't clear and misunderstood the question. I responded to the question accordingly, but the interpreter took it as I answered it wrongly and changed my answer for me, without my knowledge. After everyone has answered, my teacher looked at me and said my answer was wrong. But I'm sure I'm right, so I asked my friend what was wrong. My friend said my answer was wrong and I misunderstood the question. This can't be it. I'm sure I was right, so I asked my interpreter to explain. The interpreter thought my answer was wrong and helped to change my answer for me. No, you're not supposed to change my answers, only to deliver word for word and not to add anything. Feeling frustrated, I went up to my teacher and explained. My teacher wrote the question on the board. And I went up and wrote my answer. The interpreter messed it up and it was such a waste.
Does deaf students feel isolated in the deaf program? Come have a look. They are conversing in sign language from morning till night. That shows accessibility works. On the other hand, for hearing deaf integrated program, which focuses on the interpreter, one misses out on the surrounding. So which group gains more learning opportunity? LRE or deaf program?
What letter is this? My former speech therapist gave it to my parents. It seemed like an instruction letter. My parents insisted me to follow this letter. Since then, my life and education is to follow what is mentioned in the letter. He should be taught using only auditory stimulation. He should be placed in a normal hearing public school to benefit from the peer group language development and stimulation. I truly understand my parents who wish to have a normal son who can speak, able to achieve awards, and to obtain certificates where they can show off. As I finish my high school education dari sekolah menengah successfully, my parents proudly say, "See, follow this letter. He can do it." He should live in an English-only language environment. Larry should not be exposed to manual, total, or oral communication techniques for the hearing impaired or deaf. What needed to be done? I completed it. Am I satisfied? No. After I graduated from Gallaudet University with a degree, I was involved in the deaf community, and this is where I found my life satisfaction. Maybe not for my parents. As for me, my life is in constant progress. The aspect of my life and my identity is in contrast to this letter.